challenge should be to try and play as diverse characters as possible. It would get boring for the audience and for the actor if you played characters that were similar all the time.
Hop one, hop two, hop 1, 2, 3. Tish, tish, tish. Flap, flap, flap.
We're actors, you know, we're supposed to be able to inhabit different characters. That's kind of that's our job. That's what acting should be, surely.
It's a big action flick, innit?
I'm Cillianmurphy, and I'm an actor, I suppose. I remember when I was younger, I was really disappointed that I had such a normal upbringing. And I was like, oh, I wish I had a terrible youth or something that I could draw on. I think that's a lot of bollocks, actually. I think it's what you have inside. How you're able to be creative, it needn't come from a place of pain. It needn't come from a place of sorrow or, I don't fucking know. It just comes from the need to perform. You're just compelled to do it, you know? I just love stories. I love interesting characters. I love people behaving in a strange way. I love when you go, why is that person behaving like that? So transgression is much more interesting than somebody who does the right thing all the time. As an audience member, I find that much more interesting. I'm promoting a film called In the Heart of the Sea, which is directed by Ron Howard. It's kind of the origin story of Moby Dick. You want people to see the film, so you gotta talk about it. It's a necessary part of the business.
I like talking about the project if I believe in it, and I certainly believe in this one. I think it's a great movie. I don't know, I wonder about the quality of journalism sometimes. It's so reductive nowadays. We're in Denmark Street. I used to come here when I first came to London and sort of just oogle all these beautiful guitars and not be able to afford them. Oh my goodness, 27,000.
Oh, look at it.
No.
No, are you sure?
That's too expensive. I might do something silly on camera. Yeah.
I grew up in Cork. My parents are teachers, pretty average, middle class upbringing, you know. They were, I think, probably anxious that I did well at school, went to college, did all that stuff. I foolishly decided to pursue a law degree, but I was playing music, I was playing in a band, and I just started acting then. Those two things were happening. They became much more important than going to college. I didn't really go in at all, and I failed gloriously in the first year. My parents, they were thrilled, over the moon. Moved out of home, was playing in a band, and then we got offered a record deal. My brother was the keyboard player in the band, and he was still in school. He was like 16, and my parents said, you can ruin your life, but he's not going to ruin his life as well. I feel strongly though about that, because I know we would have ended up like, because they said, come to London, we'll give you 50 quid a week, we'll put you in a bedsit in Camden somewhere and go for it. We would have just ended up hating each other. It was all for the best, I think. I don't think the world is lacking our music, that's for sure. I just was realizing that I was really into performing, you know, and I wasn't quite sure. Live performance. I really liked playing the guitar and singing, and I really liked acting on stage. This director of a theatre company came in and worked with us for over the course of a few months, and I loved it. And I thought he was just the coolest guy ever. I just developed a huge man crush on him. And then I'd see him out in Cork drinking, like in pubs and things, and I was like, you got to give me an audition for a play. Fair play to him, he gave me an audition, and it was for this play called Disco Pigs. And it became quite successful. We made the play and then we made the film.
We man and woman now. We little babbas no more.
That kind of changed everything, really. I had never, ever envisaged ever being in a film or being on television or anything like that. I wanted to be a theatre actor. That's what I saw happening, you know, when I decided to go for it. It's a much more rigorous kind of lifestyle than film acting is, you know, because you gotta rehearse for 5 weeks, you gotta preview, you gotta go up on stage and do this every night, 8 shows a week, so it's quite disciplined. And I mean, you can have a lot of fun, and we had a lot of fun. We toured that play around the world. I moved to London and started to get slightly bigger parts. I did this film called 28 Days Later.
Hello!
People saw that film, and people saw it in America. And that definitely was a marker as well, because, you know, I was working with Danny Boyle, and it was the lead part.
Father.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that.
I was really aware of the script being fantastic and Danny being Danny. And I really, really worked at the auditions. I did like 5 auditions. And auditioning is a terrible, terrible experience, you know, because, you know, you're not giving a performance. It's a different skill, not one that I'm very good at or was very good at. Danny saw something and took a chance. And that is a film I'm very proud of. And for some reason, it resonated with people and people went to see it. So that's where people, you know, began to attempt to pronounce my name. And I've been attempting ever since.
Nice for sure.
The When the Shakes the Barley was a perfect example of making a film that was political and sort of espousing the politics that Ken espouses in the film, and I would agree with the politics of the film. I have opinions, and sometimes I'll share them, but I'm not sort of politically active, I suppose. The opportunity to work with Ken Loach, you know, was something I desperately wanted to do.
I've crossed the line now, Sinead.
I played Irish in all these films. I was determined to play the American and try and do it to show that I wasn't limited by the being Irish thing. And I know everyone says this, but it wasn't motivated by cash ever in any way. Once people saw that film 28 days later, I guess people were like, all right, we'll take a meeting with this kid. It was all about Chris Nolan. I'd seen Following and Memento and Insomnia. They were the 3 films that he'd done prior to getting the Batman gig. Oh, in fact, I auditioned for Batman. That's what happened. They put me in a bat suit, and I think he was like, man, that's not going to work. And I knew that wasn't going to work. And then he was like, but there's this other part. And, you know, you might be suitable for that part. So that's how that came about. I don't prefer being in the theatre. I love being in the theatre. I have to keep doing it. And once I left a big gap of like 6 years between doing plays, and it was left a huge ache kind of for me creatively. So and I'd forgotten that I need it so much. It's the live thing, you know. That's what playing music was so important about. You're in control when you're on stage. It's you and the audience. It was this show called Mr. Man, day in the life of this reclusive character. And he plays these other characters, and then he carries a recording of his mother on a tape recorder. It was an extraordinary experience theatrically, and I think I said this before, it's kind of like the Everest of acting is to do a one-man show because it's so terrifying. All live theatre is absurd, isn't it? Because at any point, so many things can go wrong, fail. And I like that because it's a contract between the audience and the performer. Sometimes when it goes well, when the theatre works, it can be kind of transcendent. And it doesn't always work like that, I think. But when it does, it's the best thing in the world. An awful lot of it is to do with luck. Woody Allen said 80% of success was just turning up, you know? So I turn up, I know my lines, I'm on time. Knowing when to say no was important as well. Sort of there's some consistency in the body of work that you have, then it sort of sends out signals as to the type of work that you want to continue doing, which makes it easier for people to go, right, he may be interested in that or he won't be interested in that. So it's like crumbs for casting directors.
Instead of PE,
Yeah.
I could take home economics and needlework class.
What I tried to do with that character in Breakfast in Pluto was I was very clear that I wanted the character to be feminine, not effeminate.
What's that, Patrick?
Oh, and you can call me Kitten, Father.
Kitten?
Yes, Patrick, Kitten, Braden. After saying kitten.
I think it's very easy to affect sort of effete mannerisms and stuff. Everyone could do that.
Much is that dog in the window.
So I didn't hang around with drag queens. I did a bit of that, but I was mostly just observing women and watching women and seeing their routines and what they went through. It's very different from Tommy Shelby. It's very clear that this is a damaged guy whose sort of violence is a form of expression for him, and it's a big distance to travel for me as well to get to that, you know. And he's the most sort of capable person I've ever played. And that's not me either.
How much did you pay for the suit you'll be wearing?
Oh, I don't pay for suits. My suits are on the house. Or the house burns down. You're inhabiting this character all the time. It affects you in a sort of a subliminal way, I think. It affects you sort of by osmosis. But I'm not very aware of it. It's only people that are around you that are more aware of it. Like my wife will be aware of when I'm playing him, I think.
But I'll come back. Tell her she's in charge for good.
You have to concentrate a lot. And he talks a lot, smokes a lot of fags, and is constantly fighting, so he's exhausting.
The ceiling is moving in time.
I thought it was a terrible idea at the beginning to put contemporary music on a period show. I thought that was silly. But then it just seemed to work because the artist that they chose were these kind of outlaw, artists, and that seemed to work.
For me, it was huge that Nick Cave had to watch it and say, "Yeah, I'll give you my music for it." So the fact that he had actually watched it was a big deal for me.
I don't know, sometimes you feel like a total waste of space, really, when you look at people who have proper jobs. And then you go, what am I doing? Flouncing around, putting on voices and dressing up. But people need to go to the pictures, and people need some sort of escape. Artists don't let people down like politicians let people down, and bankers let people down. The quality of the work may fluctuate, but they keep making it, they keep trying, and they keep giving some sort of sucker, I think, kind of overpaid, and there's a huge amount of stupidity and hot air that surrounds it all, and a lot of that I don't subscribe to, but I think sometimes the film can change someone's life. If you can do that through a piece of art, then I feel like you're giving something important back.